we hold up multitasking and trying to juggle with such great, I'm afraid, misguidance. When Ruth was with you, she was fully with you. Kent, I told you my experience I'll never forget. Every time she would talk to me, she would grab and hold my face in her hands. I was afraid she may be afraid I was look somewhere else. But she held me there, and there was no one else around. It was just her and I. What a gift that she gave. Commissioner, Texas Department of Agriculture, Sid Miller, there's some stories that he'd like to share. Sid, if you would, come forward. You know, one other story that I've got to tell. Since you're here, I can use you as an illustration.
Okay.
When Ruthie met Ray Charles, he said, come here. I want to see what you look like. So he began with his hands feeling of her face and her head, and he began laughing. And he looked at her and said, "Oh my, you're funny looking." Sid, come and share.
Well, welcome everybody to Cowboy Church. A lot of you may not have been to Cowboy Church before, so just a little ground rule. So if you see somebody wearing their hat in here, it's perfectly okay. It's kind of expected. So that's one of the things we do different, and we don't dress up quite as much as they do at First Church. So we try to make everybody feel comfortable and at home. So welcome to Cowboy Church of Erath County. It's actually where Deborah and I first met. Kent and Ruthie was right here at church, and we got to know them, and we got to making trips to Mary's and Mingus and Strawn and having dinner every once a month or something like that. So we became good friends, and I remember one of the conversations coming back. It was near Thanksgiving. I said, "So what are y'all doing for Thanksgiving?" And Kent said, we really don't have any plans. We're not doing anything. I said, "Well, good. Y'all come over and have Thanksgiving with us." He said, Thanksgiving Day? I said, "Yeah, Thanksgiving Day at my house. Y'all come have Thanksgiving with us." He said, "Oh, I don't know whether we could do that. That's kind of reserved for your family." And I said, "Oh, no, our family Thanksgiving's on Saturday. This is a different one." He said, "What do you mean different?" I said, "Well, we call this the Thanksgiving of the Misfits." He kind of looked at me and said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, we have people over. Some of them are vagrants, some homeless people. We got, some people that, don't have family, any place to go. We just invite everybody that doesn't have a place to go on Thanksgiving. So we'd love to have you, you and Ruthie come have Thanksgiving with us." And he looked at me and he said, "Well, Thanksgiving of the Misfits, I guess we'll have to come." So they did, and of course we had a very good time. Kent played the piano for us. Ruthie brought us one of her beautiful oil paintings of a songbird. We still have that in our living room today, and we cherish that painting. Back during one of my campaigns, Ruthie said, "Would you like me to cut a campaign commercial for you?" I said, "Oh man, that would be great." Sure, it was unsolicited. I mean, she wanted to help. And she wasn't really very political, and I could tell when she made this commercial, she hadn't made a lot of political commercials. But she just did this off her cuff, and she started out, she said, "Sid Miller is the kind of guy you can call all hours of the night, and he'll respond." He said, "Now, Deborah, she's not so nice. Matter of fact, can't say that. She said, she really gets mad when another woman calls her husband at 2 o'clock in the morning." But here's what she said. She said, "But let me tell you, you can call Sid Miller at 2 o'clock. You can be broke down on the side of the road. You can call Sid Miller at 2 o'clock in the morning, and he will call you a tow truck." But that was just Ruthie. That was her sense of humor. Ruthie and Kent just love the hill country. And if you've ever been out to Sunset Ranch, it may not be in the hill country, but it is a slice of the hill country. It's absolutely beautiful. 623 acres of rolling hills right in the edge of the Callahan Divide. That's that mountain range that runs from Cross Plains to Putnam over to Mineral Wells, and some beautiful views off of that. So it's a gorgeous place. And she loved to go to the hill country. So did Kent. They would go down and see Kinky Friedman. And he had a rescue place down there, and they would spend time down there, and she would always talk how beautiful it was in the hill country. So I got to thinking about that. I thought, I think I could do something about that. So I made some calls, and I called over the State Cemetery in Austin. I said, this is where most of the dignitaries get buried, but a lot of Texas icons are buried there. I said, how about can I get a plot for Ruth Buzzi? He said, oh yeah, we'll get her one. So now Kent and Ruthie both are going to have a little piece of the hill country down in Austin, Texas, and we don't have the details on that yet, but at a later date we'll make that available, and we'll have a service there and inter her in the State Cemetery in Austin. She can finally have that little place in the hill country, a little bitty place, not very big. I was talking to a friend of mine about Ruth, and he couldn't be here today, but he sent this statement and asked me to read it. Now I'm going to read this, and then I'll sit down. This is from President Donald J. Trump, Ruth Buzzi condolence letter. The First Lady and I were deeply saddened when our friend, Texas Commissioner of Agriculture, Sid Miller, called to let us know of the passing of his dear friend, entertainment icon Ruth Buzzi. Ruthie, as she was called by her family, had a career that spanned 6 decades, which earned her 5 Emmy Award nominations and a Golden Globe win. Her comedic talents were immense, and she could make anyone she met smile. From roles on Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In to Sesame Street, she positively touched the lives of countless Americans, both young and old. She brought joy to all who watched her, and especially those who knew her. She was an American treasure, and although she has left this earthly plane, her legacy will live on in generations to come. Melania and I extend our condolences to Kent, her family, friends, and many fans who mourn her passing, and we join you in celebrating her rich.
I welcome you guys back on here. If you're new, consider subscribing, liking, and also share this video. So the funeral for Ruth Ann Buzzi was held on Saturday, and the celebration of life service was streamed on the Lacy Funeral Home Facebook page and YouTube. And of course, it was held at the Cowboy Church of Erath County, like you've just seen at the beginning of this video. We saw so many people coming out to speak, family members, fans, the husband, cousins, and of course, so many friends and family, came out to commemorate, to pay tribute, and of course, also give a proper send-off. Well known in this moment in time that, Ruth passed on just a couple of days ago, and the family actually decided that she had to be cremated. She was cremated just a couple of days ago. Now, what we've just seen was the memorial celebration of life service, a funeral ceremony. Ruth Ann Buzzi Perkins was 88 years old as she passed away on May 1st, that is 2025, in Erath County. And of course, the celebration of life was held at around 2 p.m. May 17, 2025, and at the Cowboy Church of Erath County, with Reverend Werth Mayes officiating, with arrangements by Lacy Funeral Home. Ruth was born in Providence, Rhode Island in July 24, 1936 to Angelo and Rena Pauline Buzzi. She attended Stonington High School, where she was head cheerleader, and at just 17 years old, she enrolled at the Pasadena Playhouse College of theater arts in California, which she, from which she graduated with honors in June 1957. She married Kent Perkins on December 10th, 1978 in Las Vegas, Nevada, and they were still married until when she left Earth 46 years later. She passed away as a result of Alzheimer's, and her survivors include the husband, Commissioner Kent Perkins, and of course the brother Edward, and of course her nieces Susan Buzzi of Stonington, Connecticut, and Sherry Buzzi Stokely of Detroit, Michigan. Her sister-in-law, Sally Buzzi of Paucata, Connecticut, and of course her great niece Madison Stokely, and so many others. We are still sending our deepest condolences to the whole family, because we all know they're going through a very tough time. Rest in power, Queen. Bye bye for now.